Hey dude, you gotta check out this visual novel.
What's a visual novel?
Think of it like a digital anime book, and it's, well, visual.
I don't get it.
See? There's pretty pictures. In visual novels, readers are commonly presented with various options that progress them through the story and lead them down different routes. Sort of a choose-your-own-adventure. Having blazed through 70 plus hours of the recently released anime-style visual novel known as Love, Money, Rock and Roll, I have been absolutely pumped to recommend this to people. Regardless of the choices you make in this story, you are primed to reach a fair degree of suffering because it is loaded with painstaking character drama. Picking actions here is like that old poison chalice dilemma trope, except either option you choose results in you gulping down the poison. Now I'm not painting all this suffering in a negative light. In fact, I got off on it. Sure, it's a lot to slog through, but the character drama in it isn't bad in, say, the school day sense where everything and everyone in it sucks. The drama here rarely ever feels ridiculous, rather it's interestingly written. And most importantly, there are certainly wholesome payoffs to getting through it. And by payoff, I don't mean the main character's decapitated head getting a free all-expenses-paid trip on a very nice boat. So, if you're a fan of something like Evangelion, Doki Doki Literature Club, or Re:Zero, where the characters and story are constantly hurting you, I think you'll painfully enjoy this. To better inform you on the basic premise of things, Love, Money, Rock and Roll comes from Soviet Games, a Russian studio that also created the fairly popular VN known as Everlasting Summer. This one takes place in the 80s in Japan, where we follow the life of a high schooler named Nikolai who came from the Soviet Union as a young child. Early on, Nikolai will start to find himself caught in the center of various political and corporate entities regarding various conspiracies, secret government projects, and the mysterious death of his parents a few years back. You'll start to learn more about all this through selecting various choices for him that mostly revolve around which of the four main girls of the story you want to simp for. The more routes you complete, the more you'll be able to connect the dots of the overarching story. I found myself fascinated with all four of the girls. None of them felt like cliché anime character tropes, as the novel presents them with charming qualities that make you go, hey, I like her, I'm gonna get to know her more. Well, congratulations, because they all come packaged with a myriad of emotional issues. The option to romantically pursue one of the four of them is like being handed a Pokemon to fight with and seeing that all four of its move slots are toxic. Their interactions with Nikolai are like a sharp shish kebab that contains large chunks of jealousy, melodrama, and angst, and it keeps on poking at you. And frankly, I love that about this story, because whenever there's a wholesome moment with one of the girls, or you manage to reach a good ending with them, it's such a satisfying reward to get after all of the tension. Think of the first time you wank off after finishing No Nut November. Also, none of them are acting questionable just because. They are being severely pressured by many external factors that can make you sympathize with them. As you traverse through the different routes and scenarios, you start to realize things like, oh, so that's why you completely shit the bed in that other route's playthrough. You were out of toilet paper. Now, to be fair to the ladies, Nikolai can also be an asshole at times and contribute to the drama, but he too has things going on that make his behavior appear understandable. In the scarce amount of English comments on the game, I've seen a few complaints about him being a bit of a prick, but that actually made him feel refreshing for an anime story of this nature to me. He still has good traits that make you see why the girls might fall for him too. The thing about him that kept me engaged in the story the most, though, was his frequent monologuing. There is, well, a lot of it, to be honest. While I could see some finding it excessive, I highly enjoyed the philosophical nature of it, and it added to his depth as a protag. I was reminded of the detailed inner thoughts of Kaiki from Monogatari. It all heavily tapped into my senses to give me such a clear vision of what was taking place, and that's just one part of what I believe is this VN's top stat: the immersion. The script writing is presented in such a vivid way that even the more mundane, subtle events seem more impactful than they should have been. Like the story could describe the MC spending a whole chapter vacuuming his room, and I would feel so engaged that the vacuum would be competing with one of the four main girls over who I want to suck me the most. The suspense and mystery scenes were also excellent at keeping me invested, as they had me obsessed with what was going to happen next. Meanwhile, this story blesses you with gorgeous art, another thing that kept my eyes glued to the screen. Ultra clean character sprites that don't have that ugly outdated moe look that many other VNs seem to have. CGs for various events that capture the emotion of the characters stunningly well. And then there's the background art that just goes above and beyond. Every single piece has this pristine aura to it that makes me really want to be there. It's as if the level of detail is so strong that you know the exact time of day it is, down to the millisecond. They really are beautiful, like I swear if they drew a Detroit neighborhood it would look like El Dorado. Lastly, the final big element as to why I was so sucked into this game is the soundtrack. It captures the 80s vibes phenomenally, mostly thanks to the lyrical rock songs and the vast collection of synth-poppy instrumentals. Here are a few samples. Overall, the OST is great at enhancing the mood, whether it be in the high-stakes mystery scenes, the wholesome romance, or instances where one of the girls clearly forgot to take their meds. I do have one complaint about the music, however, and that's how there are a few moments when songs would either play on for too long as the scenes continued to change, or their musical tone would shift as nothing substantial was happening to justify it. I'd be like, yo, DJ, stop the music, you're killing the mood! I think I'm on the verge of unlocking a naughty scene, and you won't stop playing the instrumental theme for the MC's fat male friend. As for one other notable flaw I'd like to mention, it's that this VN's title and promotional material are a bit misleading for the actual amount of rock and roll stuff in it, which I was hoping for. There is one character route that is decently prevalent in, but aside from that, it's mainly the soundtrack carrying that theme. Granted, that's all a large part of what got me to acquire this game, and I ended up loving it regardless, so... There's a couple of other story details I could bitch about, but obviously I don't want to get into spoilers. I recommend attempting to pursue Ellie or Kagome first, because I think that results in things unfolding in a more interesting nature. I also want to mention that besides wanting to get people to read this VN, I also made this video because I'm hoping to have someone to discuss it with and hear their thoughts on it. I haven't exactly gotten that because due to the game's Russian origin, everywhere I go is plastered with Russian comments, and attempting to use a translator just results in them sounding like a drunk Russian sailor. So yeah, if you end up getting this visual novel, definitely let me know what you think. It's currently $20 on Steam, and considering it was like 75 hours of enjoyable playtime for me, I'd say it's definitely worth it. Anyways, that's everything I have to say about it. I'm gonna go read my other favorite visual novel, The Communist Manifesto.